So sometime last year, I made a decision to come back home to participate in an international ride, the Women Riders World Relay. And I got a bike to ride for that particular ride in Kenya and Tanzania. And that bike is this one. Yeah, there. It's a Zontes 310X. I am here to talk about that. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Bikes and Travel. On this channel, I also share my motorcycle journey and other stories, like this one for today. I actually styled my hair today for this video. I hope you like it. If you like it, please let me know in the comment section down below. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the ride that I came to participate in. I'll tell you a little more about that. And two, I'll touch on how I eventually got to get this bike, the Zontes 310X. Yeah, and show you a bit of what went on this ride. So in this video, you're going to also have in this video, you're also going to be able to see some of the clips from the ride, especially in Tanzania, because that's where most of it happened. To all those people who have written me messages, who have left comments on my post, and especially the ones that touch on this bike, and you have always wanted to know or to hear the feedback about this bike, how I found it, my experience with it, and whether I loved it, would I recommend it? I'm going to answer those questions in this video as well. So let's talk about the ride that made me make that very expensive decision to come back home, and the ride that resulted to me riding the Zontes 310. So I came back home to participate in the Women Riders World Relay, and the Women Riders World Relay was an international ride, and as the name says, it was a relay. So there was a baton which we were passing from one woman to another, one country to another, and one continent to another. The second thing that won my heart out of her various objectives was the fact that she wanted to demonstrate to the motorcycle industry the numbers of women who ride motorcycles around the world. And this is because the motorcycle industry has been a man's world for ages, for decades and decades, we all know. And therefore motorcycles and motorcycle gear is designed for men. But she wanted to demonstrate to the industry that we are actually a big number that commands a certain percent of the industry, and therefore it is good for us to be incorporated in the designs of motorcycles and motorcycle gear. At least today we have a few people who manufacture women riding gear, but it still remains not accessible to so many women, and we would want to see many more manufacturers actually design gear and motorcycles with a woman in mind. So having said that, I mean, now you understand why I came back home. I'm going to put the link for the website for Women Riders World Relay, that is WRWR, in the description box, and you can read more about the Women Riders World Relay there. You'll be able to see the route that we did. You're going to see the countries that participated, photos, and even videos. WRWR is going to remain for a long time, so also expect to see much more from the women riders from all over the world. So I'm back home. I don't have a motorcycle, but I have a ride to do. And the first thing that I thought of was I'll talk to my friends, and probably there'll be someone who is not doing this ride and also willing to lend me their motorcycle to participate in the ride. Unfortunately, or fortunately, everybody was so geared to participate in this ride, and so I did not find a motorcycle. And I think it's a fortunate thing. It's a good thing that everybody was eager to participate in this ride. It's not unfortunate. So my option 2 or plan B was to knock doors from the dealers and ask to be given a motorcycle to ride. And that is how my relationship with Beth Mobility began. So guys, I need to tell you something. I've never worked with brands before. I've never had a sponsorship before. I'm not a marketer per se, and if you're going to work with brands, if you're going to have sponsorships, the lesson that I learned through this is you need to learn more about marketing, and you need to understand fully what sponsorship entails, because to be honest, you're getting something not entirely for free. You're being sponsored with something, and you also need to give something in back. You also need to give something back in return. I made so many mistakes with this one. I did make mistakes with this one, but I learned a lot. Beth Mobility became sponsor of my ride with a bike. They also became my marketing school, because I learned so much from this particular relationship that I'll always be grateful and thankful for. So Beth Mobility, thank you. I am so sure that if you're still watching, you're looking for a bike that you can use for city commute and also for long distance travel, and a bike that you can keep for a long time. You don't need to upgrade after a few months. So stick around if you're still here with me. Starting from the look, the general look of the bike. One, it's such a beautiful bike. It's an eye candy. It's a bike that you would love to sit on and ride, and also showcase to friends. It's really beautiful. If you look at the front of this bike, it actually looks like a Kawasaki. It has a very sporty speed bike look. So if you're one of those people who love speed bikes or sporty looking bikes, this bike perfectly fits you. So let's talk about the things that I fell in love with about this bike for long distance travel. The first one is the windshield. This bike comes with a windshield which is electronically adjustable. So you can raise it up or put it down depending on the wind condition. Number 2, this bike comes with a USB charging port. So if you're one of the people who use GPS, or you like to charge your phone because you use it for music when you're riding, then this bike is perfect for long distance travel. And you know what, guys, GPS always tends to die when you really need it. Like when you're out there in the open fields, in the open roads where you don't need directions, the GPS is fully charged. As soon as you're hitting a town or a city and you really need it, dies. So that's why for me USB port was a winning plus. The other thing I loved about this bike and long distance travel, and not just long, even the city commute, is the ABS braking system. I cannot tell you enough how many times we had to brake for donkeys, we had to brake for chicken, for sheep, for goat and tortoise in Tanzania. Another winner on this bike is the fuel tank. It has a 15-liter fuel tank, which is again so good for long distance travel. I was able to do 350 kilometers on it without a refill, and I think you can actually get to 400 kilometers without a refill. My speeds were ranging between 90 and 110 most of the time, and I did 350, and I honestly think you can actually get to 400 without a refill. It has two modes. You can either ride it on sports mode or eco mode, which is economical, and I rode on economical throughout, so I think that also is an advantage into fuel saving and fuel consumption on that bike. The other thing I loved about this bike for long distance travel is the sitting position. It has an upright sitting position. As much as it looks like a sports bike, it has an upright sitting position, which is very comfortable for long distance. I also fell in love with the seat. The seat is wide and very comfortable. We made stops every 100 kilometers to just rest or, stretch, but I could comfortably do 200 kilometers on that bike without stopping. That's how that seat is comfortable. So when I was talking to Raul told me that this bike has a capability of doing 160 kilometers per hour. I never tested it, I never tried that, but I was able to do 130 kilometers per hour, which are the kind of speeds you do when you're in open roads, out of the city, out of traffic. So it has a good speed, and if you're one of those like Raul who would like to do 160 again, it's gonna give you a good speed for long distance travel in open roads where there's no traffic. You can fit a top box on that bike, and I think there's a way you can also fit panniers if you would like. The Zontes 310 has an ADV version of it, so you can get the AD version of it if you like long travel and fit the panniers on it. The one that I rode actually had a top box on it, and I was able to carry everything I needed in that top box, and also I did not feel like it affected the performance of the bike, especially on swaying with the wind and all that. The bike was very stable and very comfortable. Now let's talk about what I loved about this bike for city commute, because like I told you, I did long distance with this bike and I also did city commute with this bike. The first thing that I fell in love with is the handlebars. The handlebars are short, they're not very long, and so link splitting is such a joy. Yes, it is. The second thing that I loved about this bike is the lighting. So if you're one of those people who work late or get to travel to ride in the night, the lighting of this bike is not going to disappoint you. It's very good. I also like the fact that it is not very high and doesn't weigh so much. It actually weighs 155 kgs, and at my height of 5 feet 4 inches, I can put my legs flat on the ground, so it is very easy it's very comfortable for sudden stops in the city, for stopping in traffic. You can actually have your feet comfortably flat on the ground and be able to hold the bike with your thighs, which is not the case if you have a tall bike and you're in traffic tiptoeing, waiting for the traffic to move. So I like that bit about it. Other things that are important for you to know about this bike is, one, it's keyless, so you use a transponder to start it. It's got all its controls or functions electronic, and so it has a lot of control buttons on the handlebars, quite many. I found them a bit too many. So if you're one of those people who sent me messages, who left me comments, wanting to know more about this bike, wanting to hear my experience with this bike and what I think about it, I hope I have answered your questions. I hope I have met your expectations. I hope I have serviced your curiosity about this bike. If you're out there looking for a bike, if you're watching this video and you've been looking for a bike to buy, I hope this video has helped you make a decision to at least test ride this bike and feel it for yourself and make that decision on which bike to buy. I had this bike for 2 weeks. I rode it for a total of 3,500 kilometers thereabout. It totally impressed me. I was happy with it. And personally, as Wamoyo, I would buy this bike. And I think when I come back, because there's no way I'm gonna be riding the BMW in the streets of Nairobi, I think when I come back, this is going to be the bike for me. And that brings me to the end of this video. I have done this video, I don't know, 10 times or more. From Monday, every day I've been recording this video and deleting it because I did not like it. Today is Saturday and I'm just hoping that after this I'm going to have some really good content to share with you, and that I'm going to like it personally, because I always feel that I can't share with you something that I can't watch myself. So if you have enjoyed this video and if you feel that I have done a good job, please let me know in the comment section down below. I have struggled with it so much. Until the next episode, it is bye for now. Toodoo!